I have with me the head of Unit Logistics and Delimitation, Benson Uneku. You're welcome to the studio. And like I said, we have a series of reports from our reporters from the fields. And we'll begin with that from the FCT, from Aisha Uba Ali, which said that as part of efforts to act promptly to situations at various councils and also feed the situation room of the headquarters, that is, of INEC with information, the FCT INEC office has set up the Electoral Operations Support Center. Aisha Uba Ali has more details as the center was officially opened Friday, that is today.
For the past weeks, the FCT INEC office has witnessed a beehive of activities, ensuring that all necessary plans are put in place towards a successful conduct of the February area council polls. With personnel and electoral materials deployed to area councils, activities at the commission as at Friday appear low, but only the security presence sends a message to passers-by and visitors. Tracking and speedy response to situations on the election day, INEC says, are of great essence, hence the creation of the Electoral Operations Support Center.
It's no signals. During elections like this, the Commission deploys a lot of resources, including human resources. And it's one of the means, or let me say mediums, of managing, assessing, information from those human resources that are deployed for the conduct of elections. And from the information that is gathered, the Commission is able to know what is happening out there in the field, and if there's need for intervention, it does so. It will be open from now till when the collation process is concluded.
That's when, Sunday or Saturday?
We can't say. We can't tell because the collation process, once commenced, you cannot tell when it could be concluded. So it depends on when the collation process concludes. That is when our job here also ends.
Drawn from both the FCT and National INEC offices are staff to coordinate activities at the support center. In Abuja, Aisha Uba Ali, NTA News.
All right, many thanks, Aisha, for that report. You've heard from the INEC center where Aisha just briefed us on the latest happening as at the moment. And based on your office, can you tell us in terms of logistics, deployment and all that, how far so far?
Thank you so much. In terms of logistics, we have two types of logistics. Distribution.
Okay.
We have the distribution of sensitive and non-sensitive materials. Those are the two types of materials.
Okay.
And normally we start with the distribution of non-sensitive material. Then later on, we'll now distribute the sensitive materials. Okay. The distribution of non-sensitive material started last year around September. And from that time till now, we have distributed all the non-sensitive materials. Yesterday, we distributed the sensitive materials, which includes the ballot paper, the beavers machine. Then we also distributed the voters register as well, and any other materials that have not yet been distributed.
Okay, in terms of deployment, talking about the ad hoc staff, earlier our reporters, they were in the field, reported that they saw some of the ad hoc staff at the collection centers in the different area councils. Can you tell us the reports you have gotten so far?
Okay. The ad hoc staffs were expected to report at the area council offices, and they will be deployed to their various rack centers. And so far, so good. The report we are getting from the field now is clear that deployment has taken place, and there are the various rack centers. These rack centers are where the ad hoc staffs will camp to charge their beavers machine. They will have refreshers training at the rack centers. Then tomorrow morning, very early tomorrow morning, they will now be deployed to their various pooling units where they are to carry out these assignments. So from the report I've gotten so far, all is going well.
In order.
Yeah.
Okay, and still talking about deployment of materials and personnel from INEC Abuja office, it began in earnest around 12 noon on Friday, that is today. The move, they explain, is to enable those traveling to the hinterlands arrive such locations safe and early enough, to prepare for the exercise. INEC resident Electoral Commissioner Ekiti State, Dr. Taylor Adeniran Abdurrahman, who is supervising the exercise in the council, spoke to Onotu Yakubu in this interview.
INEC headquarters, Kwali, was a beehive of activities Friday afternoon. This is
sensitive materials for the Abuja.
All right, I think Miriam is ready for us tonight. Hello, Miriam. How is the situation like from Amak?
Municipal Area Council have arrived Amak INEC in Karu Thursday, and today being Friday, they have since been distributed to various registration area councils, RAC. Residents are, however, in high spirit in anticipation for the forthcoming area council elections.
Expect them to comply with the existing electoral act. You remember that Mr. President is still waiting to sign the 2021 electoral act. Then number two is that they want to look at the conduct of election. What is the time frame for the voter to get accredited through a by voter, as what INEC stipulated now? The fate for what we have in terms of the card reader before. That's number two. Then number three is that what is the time frame? What we know as per the election before is to ensure that you have your accreditation before the election. But now it has been choked together and combined together. You have your accreditation and you vote straight. Then are they comply with the time?
That come out and vote, because it is only when you vote that's when you can challenge whoever that is the winner. Okay, this is not a promise that you made to us. What happened during the campaign? This is what you promised, but now that you are in, you've not fulfilled that promise. What is it? But when you sit at home, you don't have that mouth, you don't have that authority to challenge whoever that will match tomorrow.
My expectations for tomorrow's area council elections are based on the role model presented in the last elections in Anambra State, where people expected violence and rigging, but our elections was not rigged. That is to say, there's an improvement by the INEC body for fair conduction of elections, and I think FCD should also set a role model.
Well, that's the pulse of the people as they eagerly await the area council elections. We'll keep you updated as events unfold.
All right, Mariam, thank you so much for the update. I can see the electorates are yearning for dividends of democracy. That's the spirit. All right, we still have on standby situation from Abuja. Earlier, I told you Elias Onotu will give us from his end. I think he's ready now.
Have just been deployed for this exercise. There is no way we could even experience technical glitch because we provided about 122, which will be gladly enough for the capacity of the electorates who are going to vote in this Abuja local government.
How would you describe the level of deployment by the various security agencies in this exercise in Abuja?
We have been on it for some time now. We had an engagement stakeholders meeting with all the political parties
the traditional rulers, the market women and all that, the CP, IG and all that. So we discovered that all the security personnel, they have been fully on ground. This has given a way and a confidence to the electorate that their security is being guaranteed comes tomorrow election.
Well, you've heard it from him. All is set for the smooth conduct of the all-important exercise tomorrow. And it's all going to boil down to one thing, which is that whichever way it turns out, either to consolidate on the existing mandate or institute a new dispensation, one thing is very sacrosanct, that come May 20th, 2022, this office right behind me is going to host a new administration to pilot the affairs of Abuja for the next 3 years. Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
Consolidation, that's the keyword. Many thanks, Onotu, for the situation from Abuja. And coming back to our guest, what's new about polling units? We heard about, just share with us what's new.
Yeah, the polling unit is where you go to vote on election day. Recently, to be precise, early last year, the Honorable Chairman of the Commission, that is Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, created additional polling units in Nigeria. And FCT was part of that exercise.
Okay.
Initially, we have voting point settlement, what we call voting point settlement. Okay. And that was because there are some new areas that were not developed when the PUs were created in the past. Okay. So now what we did was to create voting point settlements to bring the PUs closer to the PUs.
Discussing voting point settlement, I might just interject a bit. We have one of our correspondents on the field. Hello, Hawa.
Hello.
Hello, Hawa. You're live. How is Buhari this evening?
Buhari is calm. Buhari is cool.
Okay. You know, earlier you reported not citing some of our ad hoc staff and all that. So what's the situation now?
They have all gone to their places where they are going to work.
Okay.
All the polling units.
Okay.
They posted all the ad hoc staff there. Okay. They are all on ground to take position and get ready for the election tomorrow. Okay,
can you tell us from the mood, of electorates, how can you just describe it, just briefly?
Yes, it's peaceful and it's calm. All security are all on ground. They've been posted to be around the INEC office and around Buhari Area Council too.
Okay. We appreciate Hawa for keeping us updated from activities from Buhari Area Council. We hope to get more from you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. All right. Coming back to you, talking about voting point settlement. What's the difference between voting point settlement and then the polling units?
Okay. The polling unit is a substantive polling unit where voters go on election day to vote.
Okay.
It's recognized by the Constitution as a polling unit. Then voting point settlement is like is carved out of a particular polling unit. For instance, you have areas like Sunnyvale, FAB, Estate. We have so many estates in Abuja here that sprang up after the creation of the polling units in the past. So these areas, they have a large number of voters from these areas. So for them to be able to vote, you need to bring the polling unit closer to them.
Okay.
So we now created what we call voting point settlement. Now, with the creation of the additional polling unit, substantive polling unit by the Honorable Chairman last year, it has increased the number of polling units we have in FCT to 2,822 polling units.
Okay.
So with this additional polling units created by the Honorable Chairman, it solved the problem of the voters who has to travel a long distance to be able to vote. So we are planning with the main aim of creating this additional polling units to bring the PUs closer to the people, so that the issue of voter apathy will now be eliminated.
So that everybody will have the right, opportunity to exercise his or her franchise.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. You talked about RAC so much. I don't know. And it keeps talking about RAC, even while in the course of a discussion you talked about that is RAC. Can you tell us what that RAC is all about?
Registration Area Center. That is where, like I said earlier, is where the ad hoc staffs or personnel are deployed to go and camp overnight on the eve of election, so that on the day of election, they'll take off from there to their various polling units where they are posted to. So at that RAC center, they conduct refresher training for the ad hoc personnel. And also they charge their beavers machine so as to be able to conduct the election successfully without running into problem of the machine not properly charged and stuff like that. Then they also pass vital information to them. Maybe some of the information that was not given to them during the training, so maybe there's a new information that they need to pass on to the, so they tell them all the things they need to know when they get to the field. So among many other activities that takes place at the RACs.
Okay, we'll still go back to the field. Remember, our reporters are already stationed at different locations to keep us updated as election activities unfold. And joining us is Abdullahi Ajia from Kuje. Hello, Abdullahi. Can you tell us what's on ground?
Thank you, Tessie. Preparatory to Saturday polls in Kuje Area Council, Kuje is relatively calm and very peaceful as we speak. But activity seems to be around the INEC office here in Kuje Area Council. And the situation right here is that of the distribution and dispersal of both sensitive and non-sensitive materials to the 10 political wards. And we also reliably gathered from INEC record that Kuje Area Council has 262 polling units, but election will take place in 259 polling units as earlier stated by INEC. Well, now security personnel have also been deployed at this very place to provide a security cover for the materials here and the materials that are being conveyed to the respective political wards. We have also spoken to the electoral officer in Kuje, whom seems to be busy at this time, but we'll keep updating you with relevant information as they unfold here, preparatory to what will be taking place here in Kuje tomorrow, Saturday.
Looking forward to getting more information from you, Ajia, from Kuje Area Council. And I tell you, Deborah Micah is also on standby with situation report from Kwali. Hello, Deborah.
INEC headquarters Kwali was a beehive of activities Friday afternoon. This is in preparatory to the Saturday FCT Area Council elections. Electoral officer in charge of Kwali INEC headquarters, Antonia Orusifumishe, told NTA News that the office has received non-sensitive materials since Thursday evening and will be moving them to the 10 wards in Kwali Area Council.
We have 4 polling units in Kwali here where election will not be held. This is because we have 0 registered voters in those 4 polling units. After the expansion of polling units, I think maybe the people were not really aware of the existence of those 4 polling units. But we have made so much effort to sensitize them, and we hope that before the next election, those 4 polling units will be filled up.
She explains that there will be no election in the newly created polling unit that makes up the 201 polling units in Kwali Area Council. Deborah Gazaji-Micah, NTA News.
Many thanks, Deborah, for the updates, and back to our guest in the studio. Can you briefly, you were saying something about polling units and what is new. Briefly, maybe you round up because of time.
Okay, like the EO Kwali just mentioned, we have 0 polling units. That means there are PUs that are not having registered voters.
Oh, okay.
And so during the last registration, after the creation of the new PUs, it was expected that those who live around these new PUs will move or transfer their voting center from the old polling unit to the new PUs that is very close to them. And now, many of the voters could not do that.
Okay.
And maybe because of, I don't know what is the problem that they could not do that.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, you discover that there was nobody registered in those polling units. So they were supposed to transfer to those polling units so as to have registered voters there to be able to vote in those polling units. Okay. So those are the PUs or polling units that we call 0 PUs because nobody registered in those PUs.
Okay.
Now, during this election, tomorrow's election, no deployment will be made to source PUs. Okay. So, and at the end of the day, you discover that we have 2,229 PUs or polling units that election will take place and in this tomorrow's exercise or election. The area council, FCT area council election, both for chairmanship and the councillorship. Okay. So that is the number of PUs that the election is going to take place. 2,229 polling units. Election will be conducted. Then the 0 PUs, we have 593.
That's much.
That is much. Yeah. So, and this large number means that we have to do more sensitization, which we have been doing before this election. Okay. We have done a lot of sensitization before this election.
And I wish you can actually go more and more talking about this 500 0 polling units. Quite
over 500.
Yes, quite.